You're listening to the Multiverse Fancast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
All right then, on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fancast. Don't forget, if you guys are listening to us on the go, you could find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also find more of our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you find links to not only this show, but some of our other shows like Cinematic Adventures and MF Uncensored. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me via the Zoom studio is Ronnie. Ronnie, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I am living the dream, sir. And you know what I have to say? You're not glitching out completely right now.
You know what? I noticed that. I didn't want to say anything and jinx it, but here we are now.
I'm just going to assume that it's like Into the Spider-Verse and Ronnie's actually a variant from another dimension.
Maybe I am. You'll never know.
But having said that, we are so happy to see you because we're talking about variants. We have an interesting topic to discuss tonight. So I don't know, Ronnie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, Ronnie, I am glad you're ready because this is a topic where the multiverse of the Multiverse Fancast is really going to start playing a bigger role because we are in the multiverse saga of the MCU. Both Marvel and DC have really been taking out all the stops in terms of showing us their multiverses in the last couple of years. You know, it really started back with the DC on TV. They really jumped into it first with the Flash and Arrow and all that stuff. And then Marvel's, obviously, their new saga is the Multiverse saga. So we're going to be talking about a couple of things. First, we're going to talk about legacy characters that have taken on mantles from other superheroes. We're also going to talk about some of our favorite variants of different characters. And as well, we are going to talk about characters that benefited from being rebranded. Because that's the benefit about comics. You know, Superman's almost 100 years old.
Yeah,
like Superman's gonna turn 100 while we're alive.
That's kind of cool, isn't it?
It's kind of cool, but it's also like, holy crap!
Holy crap, we're that old? Well, we're not 100, but
you know, a first edition of Action Comics can go for like $6 million.
Chump change.
It's the most expensive comic book of all time. Did I ever tell you that I have a set of comic books that I got where it was like, It's the Adventures of Jimmy Olsen of all things. And it's like number 66, 67, and then it like skips a number. And the one that it skips is the one that's the first appearance of Darkseid and worth millions of dollars. Somehow I have the whole set but that one.
Good job.
Stupid. I do have the first appearance of Wolverine, though, in The Incredible Hulk. It's in terrible condition, but it's really just kind of cool to have.
So you got $1?
In mint condition, it's worth about $7,000. So yeah, $7, sir.
$7.
But anyway, so do you want to start with legacy, rebrand, or variants? Dun, dun, dun.
Let's start with legacy.
Okay, so let's explain for those of you guys who don't know. A legacy character is a character that takes the mantle of another hero. It's passed on from hero to hero. There are some really good examples, and there's also some really strange examples. So when you think of a legacy character, who's the first character you think of?
I think of Robin.
Okay, so who is your I know we did an episode on Robin, but who is your Robin?
That's a tough one, to be honest with you, because I kind of like all of them, to be honest.
Such a cop-out answer.
My favorite Robin, I want to say Jason Todd, but I think I don't necessarily like him as Robin. I think it's more being Red Hood.
And we'll talk about that, yes.
Yeah. So if maybe Tim Drake.
Tim Drake's your Robin? All right, I can get behind that. I like Dick Grayson as Nightwing better.
Yeah.
But I like Tim Drake as Robin.
Yeah. That's one thing. Like as Robin, it's Tim Drake, but as like from Robin to where they ended up, I would say either Dick Grayson or Jason Todd.
I would say also Damian Wayne has grown on me in more recent years. That was thanks to the DC animated universe, though. It's because of that like So to throw that out there, Ronnie and I are not avid comic book readers. I know comics to a point, like I try and keep up to date, and obviously like the big stuff I'll know. Ronnie, ironically, it is all pictures and words, and he still can't read them.
Yeah, pictures can be confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So
And thank how they don't pop up. Otherwise, Ronnie would still be going like, haha, opening the book.
Those are scary too.
I know they're scary. They're like a Jack in the Box. I'm with you, buddy. Don't worry. I know. But so let's talk. Robin's like obviously one of the best choices.
Yeah.
So I have a list of some of the most iconic legacy characters of all time. Some of these actually kind of surprised me. So I'm curious to hear some of your thoughts. So we'll go through all of them first.
All right.
We're going to start with Captain America. All right.
Okay.
Because Captain America was first Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
There was another Captain America while Steve Rogers was on ice before they brought him back, but we're gonna leave that alone. That's getting way too deep into the comic book lore. But you have Steve Rogers, Bucky Barnes, who takes up the mantle after being the Winter Soldier, and then Sam Wilson, who in the current MCU is the official Captain America. What are your thoughts on Captain America's legacy?
I mean, it's a good legacy. I like how it goes from, being, Steve Rogers to best friend, who really was kind of the war hero. He kind of was like an actual Captain America minus the super soldier serum and stuff. And then it goes to Sam Wilson, who kind of under the same breath is, former military and, has that background and everything. So it's a nice one. It's not one that you kind of think of when you think of legacy characters. He's kind of towards the back end of legacy characters.
I can get behind that. Like when I think Captain America, I kind of always think Steve Rogers. I'm curious to see how Sam does when it's his time, in the films. But I am disappointed that Bucky Barnes never got his chance in the MCU to take on the role. But I definitely can get behind. Captain America is a great character in himself, but for me, it's always going to be Steve Rogers. A lot of these are unfortunately going to be their main counter. They're like their originators. Some of them are going to be surprising, and some of them have held their own in other regards. But here's one that I know we're both going to agree on, and I didn't even think about this one. Thor.
Oh, because you got Jane Foster.
You got Jane Foster. You got Thor Odinson, the original God of Thunder, and then Jane Foster does take up the role after the original Thor was deemed unworthy. Yes. So we have made our thoughts on Love and Thunder very clear. Mm-hmm. We've been so vocal about Love and Thunder that producer Melanie still has not seen it, despite the fact that it is filled with Greek gods, which is her bread and butter. She loves mythology and stuff like that. But we were so disappointed with that movie. I think it left a sour taste in just any sort of concept of her watching it.
Yeah.
Not all of that has to do with Jane Foster. I like Natalie Portman. I liked her as the character, but just to do one movie, like in the comics, that's the benefit about comics, though. They have so much more time to tell their stories. So it's a shame. And like, again, spoilers for Thor Love and Thunder. I know it came out a few months ago, but still, like, she dies at the end. Yeah. And oh my God, producer Melanie in the back. She's like, oh no.
Oh, stop.
She's playing with the cat too. May's the podcat. Maybe he'll make his appearance. I don't know. So for me, like, when I think Thor, I just think Thor.
Oh yeah.
It's his name. It's cheating.
Yeah, right? You how can your name be Jane Foster and then you go and be like, I'm Thor?
Well, she was considered the Mighty Thor. That was her actual title. But because the hammer does say whoever wields this hammer, should he be worthy. Yeah. All right. Now here's one that's going to cause some controversy. Batman. You got Bruce Wayne. Dick Grayson takes up the mantle. And then Terry McGinnis, the future Batman from Batman Beyond.
And do you argue, or are we saving that for Multiversal, where you got Thomas Wayne?
That's Multiversal.
Multiversal, okay.
And then I'll add one to this list. It's not on there. John Paul Valley, also known as Azrael, took over the role in the 90s with we talked about him last week in Antiheroes, the most 90s looking Batman outfit of all time.
Yep.
So it's hard because, like, I love all of those characters. Like, did you watch Batman Beyond?
Yes.
So we did an episode for Batman Beyond with our good friend Blind Bat 8719, our good friend Brendan. That's his actual name. But we talked about the whole series, and I was such a fan growing up of that show. Yeah. And that there's always been a big push to get a Batman Beyond movie. At one point, Ben Affleck was tapped to play Terry McGinnis back in the 90s or early 2000s, whenever that show was out. But for me, like, Batman Beyond was such a cool show. It did not have any business being so freaking cool.
Oh no, not at all. But again, I think with Batman, I think you hear Batman, you don't really think of those names, other than Bruce Wayne. Right? That's really it.
I think more people argue about which actor is the best Batman. That's the argument 100%. You're always going to get, because apparently in the comics, Dick Grayson. What was that? George Clooney? Did you say George Clooney? So that's the end of our episode. Thank you guys for listening. Stupid George Clooney, your face. But for me, like, when I think Batman, yes, I think Bruce Wayne. But apparently Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne took over as Robin at the same time. Like, apparently they were fantastic in the comics together. Like, they did a really good run. But, Dick Grayson's Nightwing. That's who he should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, going down our list, we have Spider-Man, which is, we got Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and this is more multiversal, but for the sake of the movie, we'll say Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Gwen Stacy's more multiversal.
Yeah, we have Spider-Man on the multiversal list, too, because obviously.
Yeah, right? Because, you got 30 billion Spider-Men.
Spider people.
Spider things. Yeah.
Spider individuals.
Yes. Now, this is one where I think in modern times, it's kind of interchangeable with, is it Peter Parker or Miles Morales? But if you're saying pre-2010, 2015, no one really knew Miles Morales.
I'm going to throw this out there because I already know there's at least one listener who's going, isn't that more of a multiversal character, like a variant? In the Ultimate Comics, Miles Morales took over the mantle after the Ultimate Peter Parker died. So that's why he's going to be in both. Like, mild spoiler for our own episode. Yeah, Spider-Man's going to be in both, and Miles is going to be one of the characters that repeats himself. But I'm going to throw also one in there that's going to be super controversial. You ready?
Yep.
Ben Reilly, a.k.a. the Scarlet Spider, a.k.a. Spider-Man, for a brief stint in the 90s. I will say he was one of my favorite characters in Across the Spider-Verse, where he's like leaning against the wall. He's like, I'm so dark and depressing because of my backstory. Yeah. And of course, he's voiced by Andy Samberg, which is the best. I got you trapped with my well-defined biceps. Like, just the most perfect thing ever. And for me, like, the Clone Saga in the comics is hated, like despised. But I loved the Scarlet Spider. I loved his look, and I loved when he took over the mantle of Spider-Man. He had like a big spider that went across, and like the web shooters on the outside. Like, he just looked cool. And rule of cool when you're a kid, right?
Oh yeah.
So for me, as much as I love Peter Parker, Ben Reilly's a very close second for me, and that's just a personal preference. I know in terms of writing, it's not true at all.
No.
All right, going down the list. Now, this one is going to be fun because we did enjoy this show. If memory serves correct, we all gave it glowing reviews at the time, and that's Hawkeye, Clint Barton, and Kate Bishop.
Yes.
Do you think? We'll go with the MCU version. Do you think Kate Bishop was a worthy successor to the Hawkeye mantle if she takes it up afterwards?
That's tough. It's like yes and no. Like in my eyes,
in your eyes.
I don't want her to necessarily take it over the next time we see her. I would like to see another thing with Clint.
Oh, first. Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to see the both of them again.
Yeah, and then after this movie or season 2, whatever the case is.
Whatever they end up doing with Kate Bishop, because we haven't heard anything since the show.
No. From there, I would like to see kind of her take over, because I feel like you can't just have her be Hawkeye because there's no introduction to anybody else.
Nobody knows who she is except for Yelena.
Yeah, so I feel like have Clint introduce her to like Captain America, aka Sam Wilson, Ant-Man, like all those guys that maybe we kind of get a new Avengers and she kind of gets introduced that way. Then either he dies or steps away or something.
I would love him to just be the curmudgeonly old even though he like accepted her towards the end and like he helped her fight, like she just keeps coming to him for help. He's like, leave me alone, please.
Yeah.
He invited her over for Christmas though. Door's open. Now there's no coming back from inviting somebody over for Christmas.
No.
All right, going down the list, we have Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, and Connor Hawke. I totally forgot about Connor Hawke. That's another character that I really wish that Roy Harper had taken over the role.
Yeah.
But he did his own thing, even though it's funny. You have Batman and Robin. Robin becomes Nightwing. They don't sound similar at all. Like, the totally different names. Roy Harper's like, watch this. I'm going to go Speedy. then Arsenal, then Red Arrow. Nobody's ever going to know. Red Arrow.
No.
Definitely not any relation to Green Arrow.
Green Arrow, I've never heard of that.
What do you mean you want us to do Christmas cards? Spokesman
Right?
Green. I don't get it. But for me, like, we when we did our episode on Arrow and the fall of the Arrowverse and all that stuff, we talked about, we were very disappointed with how they handled Roy. He started off so strong, and that's another example of real life affecting the cinematic world. Yeah. So, like, we can't fault Colton Haynes for that. Like, he came back and they just didn't write him well.
Yeah.
But we were big fans of Colton Haynes. We were big fans of Roy Harper. Mm-hmm. He was great on Young Justice. Like, that whole story where he turns out he's like the mole at the end of the first season. Yep. Dun, dun, dun. All right, now we're getting into some more obscure ones. And this is Wolverine. Logan to Laura Kinney, X-23. Remember Logan? Remember that when that movie came out and it was amazing? Yeah. That movie was 6 years ago.
No way.
2017, son.
Holy cannoli, Batman.
Really? Like,
well, I didn't want to curse.
I mean, like, you could have done better.
I panicked.
We'll edit it off air. It's fine. Nobody's gonna hear this part. Like, it's gonna be gone. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. Good.
No. Producer Melanie heard it. It's fine. But anyway.
Oh man.
And we're back from not editing anything. So you look at. It's unfortunate that Laura Kinney did not get her due after, because Daphne. Oh, I forgot her last name. That's gonna drive me crazy. Daphne Keene. Thank you. Thank you for helping me, Ronnie. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. I had no idea who you're talking about.
He literally just looked at me and he raised one eyebrow, and I was like, wow, I also have seen Jesus. But anyway. So Laura Kinney, she took over in the comics. She was actually a very Harley Quinn-esque character where she was created for the show X-Men Evolution. And she was so popular that they adapted her, and then obviously Logan took the character and ran. It is a shame. I really hope in Deadpool 3 we get something about her.
Yeah.
We have so little details about Deadpool 3. We just know that Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine. There are the rumors alone about this movie are wild.
Speaking of rumors, did you hear Daniel Radcliffe as a rumor?
That's been a long time fan casting. That's not going to happen. Did you? So that was sparked even more by. Have you watched the show Miracle Workers?
Yes.
So in the most recent season, he goes into his berserk mode on the last episode. Spoilers.
Yeah.
And he's like shredded. Like, I watched the show actively, except for the second season for some strange reason. I just never watched. I actually scratched that. I know exactly why I didn't watch the second season. Segue. Here we go. So my schedule made it a little bit tough for me to watch shows live, and I forgot to set my DVR to tape it. 1990 called, but anyway. So
hey there, Pops.
I know. Yeah. After I put on my glasses and get my cane, I'm going to watch the show that I really wanted to watch on the television. But anyway. So I went on to tbs.com. I was like, I'm just going to stream it. Type it in. It's like, here you go. You can stream this episode, and that's it. I was like, all right, that's all I need.
Yeah.
But apparently what they did at the time, and I remember, I think NBC did this for Heroes at one point, they give you an allotted streaming time.
Yeah.
And it's 30 minutes. So I started watching the first episode of season 2, and I was at work. Not that I ever watch things at work, but I was distracted by other business. And I came back and my allotted time was up and they wouldn't let me watch it, and they wouldn't let me just reload the browser or anything. So I was so mad that I boycotted season 2.
That's funny.
Yeah. Fought the system and I won.
Son?
Yeah. I've watched seasons 3 and 4 now. Oh, that got me a little heated. Sorry, everyone. Ooh, sorry for that. That I might actually edit out, and it's just me sweating.
I like when you're all flustered like that.
It's just me sweating, like on the podcast. Thank God we don't do video. But for me, like Laura Kinney, I really hope they do something with her in this new movie. We don't know which Wolverine this is. We don't know anything like about how they're bringing him back.
No.
All right, here's a deep cut. Sean from Cinematic Adventures would really appreciate this one. The Phantom.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that was the first ever legacy character.
Something like that. And he's like, it passes the mantle down from father to son for over 20 generations. So yeah, the Phantom. Mm-hmm. Ghost Rider. That's another fun one. That one's not on the list. I just thought about it, so I thought I'd throw it out there. You got Danny.
We're missing a big one.
I got more on the list. I got more on the list. We got Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch. Oh, who does Gabriel Luna play in the new one in Agents of Shield? I forget the character's name, but like Ghost Rider's another character that's been passed on, and he's been successful in a lot of different variations. God, if they bring Nick Cage back, that's stupid. His Ghost Rider was horrible.
Yeah.
Actually, the first movie's not bad, and then the second movie they try and double down, and it didn't work. We got Blue Beetle, which we just talked about. You got Dan Garrett, Ted Kord, and Jaime Reyes.
Yep.
Now we're kind of moving, because we just did Blue Beetle, so you guys don't need to hear it once again. Aquaman and Aqualad, we had Garth, who was the original Aqualad, and Calderon, who was Aqualad and then later became Aquaman, especially in the Young Justice show.
Yeah.
And of course, one of our favorites, we already mentioned Robin, one of our favorites, The Flash. You got Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, Wally West, and Bart Allen. Yeah. We are big fans of The Flash. We love the TV show. We did our episode on it, and he's a great legacy character. He's one of the few legacy characters that they all work together at certain points.
Yeah, and they were all good, like written and looks on their own as well too.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about some characters that benefited from being revived or rebranded. Can you think of it?
We forgot a major legacy character.
Oh, hit me. I'm sorry. Green Lantern's a tough one because it's more of like a...
But the ring moves from person to person.
True, I'll give you that. But like, I didn't think about it because it's more like an organization and there's thousands of them. But okay, so who was the first...
We're talking about like the Green Lantern that we all know.
All right, so who's the first Green Lantern that we all know? Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, you were ready.
That's a tough one to determine, like who we know as like, or are we talking about like the most well known, or are we talking, excuse me, about who was the first?
Chronologically, who was the first?
Chronologically,
do you want me to just tell you?
It was Alan Scott.
Attaboy, look at you. Look at you, because we all know you were thinking Hal Jordan, which I have no problem with. Hal Jordan is probably the Green Lantern Legacy is a very strange one. Like the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, he didn't get his powers from the Green Lantern Corps. He found a magic lantern and ring, and do you remember what his weakness was? It wasn't the color yellow of all things.
No, I don't remember what it was.
It was wood.
Oh,
wood.
Yes,
wood.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this wood.
Yeah.
Early comics were weird, but you have the most well-known legacies are you've got Alan Scott, Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, and John Stewart. Those are the most well-known of the modern Green Lantern. So yes, you were right. I'm sorry.
I win. Yes,
you do.
I finally beat you on something superhero-ish.
You did. You good job. Well done. All right, so let's talk about some rebranding. Characters that benefited from taking a look at their characteristics, whether it was, we're going to get into it, whether it was they were created in a stereotypical way to exemplify those stereotypes, whether they just weren't well written at the time, and then characters were able to be revitalized through better writing, or characters that were viciously made fun of and are now considered to be badasses. Yeah. Let's start with Aquaman. When you think old school Aquaman, what do you think?
Goofy. Mm-hmm. You almost didn't really want to watch or anything with him. I think it was just goofy, silly, and why do we need a fish man?
I think Super Friends, where he's riding around on the seahorse.
Yeah.
But then the 90s roll around, and first they rebrand him with like a more like tough, like he's got long hair, he's got a hook hands. Like they showed that in the Justice League TV show, and it was gruesome. Yeah. And obviously Jason Momoa has taken over the role and plays him more as like a more serious bro surfer kind of dude. And it works. Like they were able in the Aquaman movie to not only give him his orange and green outfit and make it look great, but also he rode a seahorse.
Yeah.
And he did it. All right, let's see. We got Miss Marvel. She's another character, legacy, and who won that benefited from a rebrand with Carol Danvers was the original Miss Marvel. And she was almost like, not a sidekick to the original Captain Marvel or Marvel, as he was called.
Yeah.
But then you have Kamala Khan, and they added a lot of character to her. She was a Pakistani American, and we did enjoy the show for the most part. I'm actually strangely looking forward to the Marvels, even though I was not a big fan of Captain Marvel, the movie. So for me, like, I actually do like Kamala Khan, and she's been like really fun in the comics too. We did mention Green Lantern, so we'll mention him again. The original Alan Scott, the Golden Age. He had, the goofy costume. Apparently, he was also one of the first gay characters. Yeah. But then, obviously the Silver Age rolls around. You got Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corp, and technology and willpower and all that stuff. So obviously that rebrand has only benefited the idea of the Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to go with, we have Hawkeye. Originally, he was a villain, and he was just a skilled archer. But in the rebrand by Matt Fraction, they redefined Hawkeye, and it was more of his life outside of the Avengers, mentoring Kate Bishop and what he did when he wasn't doing his Avengers-style stuff. Yeah. Let's see. We have Phoenix, or Jean Grey. Originally, she was just able to move some things and had some mind reading. The Dark Phoenix saga is one of the best comic book sagas of all time, but for some reason they can't make it into a damn movie worth watching.
Yeah,
twice they failed. I'm so mad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Luke Cage. So originally Luke Cage was created during the Blaxploitation era, where it was trying to kind of get into that like 70s type style, and he was called Power Man. They even did his goofy costume in the show. I don't know if you remember that, when he breaks out of prison.
Yeah.
And like he's totally different than when he was now. He's a community leader, hero, family guy. Like, not the show, like like he has a family.
Good one.
Thanks. Another legacy character that we totally forgot, Batgirl.
Yep.
Batgirl / Batwoman. A lot of different characters have taken over the role, but Barbara Gordon was originally Batgirl, and then she was paralyzed, and she was the first handy. I want to say handy capable, because I think that's the proper terminology. But she was a hero in a wheelchair, and she still continued doing it. And a lot of people like her as Oracle way more than they liked her as Batgirl. Yeah. But let's see. I'm trying to going through my list. I want to see some really good ones. There was one more
Black Panther.
Black Panther's another legacy character, and also a character of rebranding when Shuri took over. So yeah, I can get behind that. And we liked. Unfortunately, that was for one that should have felt so forced, considering the tragic circumstances. Like, we loved Chadwick Boseman. Like, he was so good as T'Challa, and it's such a shame, what happened. But like, they did a good job honoring him, which I'm really all about. Let's see. I had one more that I wanted to talk about. Oh, well, we have Iron Man is completely rebranded from what he was. Yeah. Iron Man was a terrible person in the comics. Like, Stan Lee wrote him to be unlikable. Mm-hmm. But ever since Avengers popped, like, he became... They rebranded him in the shows, the comics, everything to match that character, the Robert Downey Jr. style. And then we have Batwoman, introduced as Kate Kane, openly gay, openly LGBTQ plus character. Like, there are a lot of things. One of our personal favorites, you ready? Vibe. Do you remember Vibe from the comics? He was a freaking joke. He was every Latin stereotype you could possibly imagine. Yep. But Cisco Ramon turned into one of our favorite characters on The Flash. Like, he was such a good character. All right, so now that we've talked about some of our legacies and then some of our rebrands, let's talk about some characters that have multiversal variants that are just as, if not more popular than the character. Now, let's start off with Spider-Man. You got Peter Parker. We're gonna do this little battle royale style. Peter Parker, Miles Morales, so popular that they pulled him from the Ultimate Universe after it was canceled, and now we have the new Spider-Man game that's coming out. By the way, there will be a review on Spider-Man 2 when it drops, so make sure you guys check out the website, because I am so excited. I've been replaying all the Spider-Man games to get ready. I'm so excited. Spider-Gwen / Ghost Spider, and then Spider-Man 2099. Yes. All right, so you got 4 Spider people. Go, rank them.
Oh.
So, you weren't ready.
No, I was not. So, just a refresher. 2099,
Gwen, Miles, and Peter.
Honestly, I would probably go Peter. I don't know if I want to do Miles or 2099 next.
It's tough, right? This is a tough list. That no matter what, we win.
Let me go 2099, Miles, Spider-Gwen.
Again, another character. Miguel O'Hara was so popular in the comics that they brought him to the modern era. That's how, after the 2099 line got canceled. So, like Spider-Man and his Spider variants are some of the most popular characters of all time. Yeah. All right, you ready? Superman. You've got the traditional Kal-El / Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom Come Superman, as portrayed by Brandon Routh also in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Superboy Prime, one of the most powerful versions of Superman. And Red Sun Superman from the Red Sun storyline. Yeah. I'm gonna go. You got to go the original. I'm gonna go the original. Then I'm gonna go right in order. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4 for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Yeah, Kingdom Come Superman is still one of the best written Supermans of all time, and the costume, like with the slightly more angleized S.
Yeah,
and the fact that they translated it beautifully with Brandon Routh, like he did a great job. All right, we got 3 Bat people. You ready?
Okay.
Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
Thomas Wayne from the Flashpoint universe, where Thomas Wayne becomes Batman instead of Bruce Wayne, and the Batman Who Laughs, a very, very newer, very popular Batman variant from the Dark Multiverse. Have you seen the Batman Who Laughs?
I have not.
Yo, he is horrifying. If you Google that, because he's a Batman, I want to say he got infected by Joker toxin, and instead of going crazy, he goes crazy. But Batman style, and he he kills everyone. Like he's he's like Batman if he was evil, which is what. Yeah. Oh, scary stuff. All right, let's see. Captain America. You got Steve Rogers, Danielle Cage, which in some alternate futures, the daughter of Luke Cage and Jessica Jones becomes Captain America, and Peggy Carter from Marvel's What If.
I did not. I was not thinking about that from What If at all. That kind of threw me for a loop, but
we always forget that there's another Captain America that we have seen on screen now. That was one of the greatest scenes in Multiverse of Madness, and then it just went out with a whimper.
Yeah,
I can do this all day. Oh my god, my stomach. That's how that happens. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But let's see, going down the list, Loki from the MCU. You got the traditional Loki, you have Lady Loki, and you have Kid Loki. They threw on this list. That's a fun one. I actually like. That
was good.
I'm very excited. Apparently, season 2 of Loki drops October 6th. I want to say at time of recording.
Oh, that's close. It's
right there.
2.5 weeks away or so.
Yeah, but it's Disney Plus, so they do one episode at a time.
Yeah.
And then one last one. We have Thor, which is Thor Odin's son, Beta Ray Bill, and Throg, which is the frog version of Thor, which we did see in Loki season 2.
Yes, we did.
So those are some of the more popular variants and characters, and that's the best thing about comics. There's so many choices. You know, like even like you look at like Supergirl. There's like Supergirl. There's Power Girl. There's like all these different things.
Basically, with Supergirl, it's the same exact thing as Superman.
Little bits. They've tried to play around with it, but oh, you know what? We didn't even mention all of the Superman, when Superman dies, all the characters that try and take his mantle, we didn't even mention that.
Oh, that's true.
So so when Superman died, Superboy actually trademarked the name Superman and their lawyers tried to sue Superman when he came back.
Yeah.
So Superboy told everyone to refer to him as Superman. Steel actually adamantly did not want to be called Superman. Yeah. And there was the Eradicator and Cyborg Superman who both claimed that they were the original Superman brought back to life.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. That's a legacy character that's taking the legacy by force. We talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier we mentioned. We didn't even talk about John Walker. Who he takes the mantle by force and then he loses it.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm so excited to see him back as U.S. agent because we for the most part, most of the hosts really enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All the hosts at the time did enjoy it, but we had very different opinions about certain characters. We miss you, Rob. Come back sometime. But anyway, so that is actually going to wrap us up. Don't forget, guys, there's no Fan Feedback Friday just because at time of recording, we're recording this a little bit earlier just for the sake of schedules. I might edit it in, and this might be all a moot point, or as Joey from Friends says, a moo point, because it's like a cow's opinion.
Yeah.
But for us, if you guys want to participate in Fan Feedback Friday, all you have to do is go to our Facebook page. Every Friday between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll find our Fan Feedback Friday. Just make sure you comment on it and like the post. You can also find us on all the social media. We're on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Is it Twitter or is it X? Everybody still, apparently like 80% of users still call it Twitter.
Everyone still calls it Twitter because of the fact that if you read an article, it says oh, this person said this on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, while you're there, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Also, if you guys are listening to us on the go, make sure you guys leave us star reviews and download the episode, because it makes a big difference in our numbers and the amount of people that we get to interact with, because we have some of the best fans ever, and you guys are always really very vocal, and we love having you guys participate with the show. It's always a lot of fun. It's always way more fun than just hearing me and Ronnie talk.
For real.
For real, indeed. And make sure you guys... Oh, go ahead.
If you want to, you can kind of come on the show too. Just let us know.
Oh, we have a list of people that want to be on the show. Our good friend Alex wants to do an episode on The Crow with us. I just have to coordinate with him. And we've had plenty of our longtime listeners. That's how Brendan got on the show and started his own YouTube channel, because, like, you know, this is what we do. But if you guys are looking to participate, make sure you guys do all that. And in the meantime, I think that's going to wrap us up for tonight, Ronnie.
Amen to that, brother.
Indeed. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Ronnie.
And we'll be back in a flash.
See ya.